Okay, so you're very welcome to TU Dublin, the Technological University of Dublin. We changed name on the 1st of January, and we're still in the process of trying to configure and work out what it means to be a technological university. And I suppose part of what we're going to do today is an example of how we can bring different perspectives and different disciplines together and try and have a coherent, open conversation. So one of the ideas behind today's workshop is to literally look at that notion of translation between different types of discourse that we have, and hopefully we can do that in a kind of positive, open, friendly, supportive environment. Okay. Just before I begin, I'm just going to announce that we have in case of a fire, there's two exits at the back. Okay, and lunch is going to be served in Rathdown House, the main building, because from 12:30 to 1:30, there's a mindfulness session in the church. Okay, here, which you're welcome to join if you wish. All right. I'd also like to thank particularly Aideen and Daphne and Esther, who have helped bring this together. We have 2 days. We have today, which is going to open to people outside the Real Smart Cities Network, and tomorrow we have our midterm review with officers from the European Commission. So most people will be here again tomorrow. All right. Maybe just to give a little background to what this is, the Real Smart City project is a Marie Curie action. It's a RISE, it's a Research, Innovation and Staff Exchange project, which is a 3-year project. The partners in the project are TU Dublin, Durham University, Institut de Recherche et Innovation, IRI, and then we have 2 non-academic partners, which are Dublin City Council and Plaine Commune. Okay. So the project is for 3 years. We're about 14 months into it now. But what I'm going to do just very briefly for 1 or 2 minutes is just explain a little bit what the project is, which might explain, because some people are asking me, how come you're talking about BIM? Okay, because it might be well outside our traditional areas or fields of interest. So why would the Creative Arts and Media, GradCam, and the Real Smart City project have something on BIM, which is an interesting question to pose. Okay, so the overreaching objective of the Real Smart City project is to develop and implement a perspective on smart city through critical humanities, research and innovation in the context of digital studies. So here, what we're looking at is an overall project in the background, which we call digital studies. So digital studies is a very big network of people, and it was launched in Pompidou Centre in 2012, I think. And the idea, the philosophical underpinning of digital studies comes from the work of a French philosopher, Bernard Stiegler, and what we're looking at is the impact of digital technologies. So a term that could be used as a kind of form of pharmacon or pharmacological understanding of digital technologies. So digital technologies have a role that enable us to mediate ourselves in the world, and that has a positive and negative impact in the world. So strictly speaking, what we're looking at are impacts on construction of knowledge, which is epistemology, and also on cultural production, which we could frame as aesthetics. So that's the background piece of digital studies. Some of the background, it builds on the Digital Studies Network itself. There's a shared philosophical perspective on the impacts of technology on the construction of knowledge. There's a critical humanities perspective on smart cities. So what we're trying to do is build an historical overview of the discourse of smart cities. And that's something that we've done over the last 12 months or so, which is historical, philosophical and sociological. But also enabling citizens to understand technologies. So when we speak of smart cities, we tend to think of a cluster of different types of technologies, and one part of this particular project is trying to enable citizens to understand how these technologies function. Okay? We could call it opening the black box. Okay? Opening the black box is we're going to go in and look at things which are hidden, such as algorithms, how machine learning is being used, how data analytics is being used, how they influence the construction of knowledge itself. Okay. So, in the first work package, which is the work package being led by Gerald Moore, and Gerald is not with us this morning, from Durham, here the question is really one around epistemology. How are digital technologies influencing the construction of knowledge itself, a form of episteme? Okay. The second work package is the one which is being led here in Dublin, which is around the notion of the data city. So this is a concept that we're trying to build. The data city is both the historical understanding of how the city is built, or how we define the city, if you wish. We could think of the city as something which is intrinsically defined by data. What I mean by that is sheer population numbers. We could say a city is so many individuals, and if you wish, that's a form of defining the city based on data. Also, we have forms of colonization of space that have taken place through the use of data. So part of that work package has been looking at notions of data bias, for example, looking at how we understand information theory in data analytics, concepts such as entropy, negentropy within information studies. So that's the piece around that. Okay, and that is what we're calling opening the black box. So we're trying to open up the different technologies which are used in the background. The final work package, which is being led by IRI in Paris and also with our partners in Guayaquil in Ecuador, is looking at forms of experimentation with citizens themselves, notions of citizen participation. These could be considered as notions of contribution, how we can have a contributive research, how we can have forms of capacitation, how we have different types of knowledge that are in place in the urban landscape itself. Okay. So they're the objectives. So the way we're going to work it today is a little bit unusual. We're going to have a kind of series of short presentations, 20 minutes maximum, 15, 20 minutes, maybe 1 or 2 questions, I think is a good idea, right? And then we're going to break, and then in the afternoon what we're going to do is have a series of round tables. So what we're trying to do is come up with, as I started by saying, notions of translation between different types of discourse, and that's always slightly difficult because we have certain people in the room who maybe more from more philosophical bent, and we're going to have other people who are much more in the disciplines of architecture, urban design, built environments. So that's a kind of a discourse that we're going to have to kind of marshal a little bit. And the idea of the afternoon is to have 4 roundtable discussions, which are based on different thematics of collaboration, employment, loss of employment, or new types of employment with BIM, notions of education, so how BIM could be used as a platform within education itself, as a platform for collaboration also. So what we're going to try and do is set it up this afternoon, so we'll have 4 different roundtables, and then we can move around. But the idea is not to come up with, I don't think we're going to come up with any definitive answers or solutions about things, but it's maybe just to think through maybe a series of recommendations that we could make. Okay? If we're trying to think creatively about BIM and what we could do with BIM, what type of recommendations could we make? Right? And they will feed into part of our overall project, the Real Smart Cities, maybe as a series of recommendations we're going to make. Okay. And that's it. Okay. So I'm going to hand over to Lloyd, because I should thank Lloyd as well. Lloyd helped me organise this too. And we're going to have those kind of short presentations and maybe 1 or 2 questions. We might try to keep it a little bit on time because we have a lot of speakers. We don't have much time, so we might be a little bit, ruthless with your time. Okay. So thanks very much. Okay, and welcome again. Okay, thank you.